Billy Joe Saunders released a video today on his Instagram page where he's back in training. Back in training. I might just take the sound out, obviously take the sound out, but I might just stick a little snippet of it, in the background, just for a minute or two. You can see it there. Billy Joe Saunders is back in training, and he said that he is, burning down the calories, talking about doing it before and after of how big he was starting training, which I imagine he was huge. In fact, I probably imagine he's been huge the last 2 years, really, since the Canelo fight. And to how skinny he apparently is going to get. He talked about becoming a one-time world champion. Obviously, he's been world champion at 160, becoming a two-time champion at 168, but now he's saying he's going to do the 3 times. So, looks like that he's considering whenever he makes this comeback, which we've been hearing rumours about Billy Joe's comeback for about a year now, roughly. Seems roughly a year. And every time we hear about it, we see the odd video, or we see the odd pic, and he still looks just as big as ever. And he still looks, even in this clip, just as big as ever. So I would say the comeback is quite a bit away. Quite a bit away. But talking about comeback at 175 pounds and seeing what way the landscape is there. Well, the landscape there is quite simple. It's Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev. They're the guys. Billy Joe Saunders at 168 pounds really had no business being there. If he really thinks, so if you talk about even a prime Billy Joe Saunders at 175 would get decimated by those top 2 guys. He'd probably get decimated by most guys in the division because those guys are massive. Billy Joe Saunders, even Dominic Ingle said it when he was training him, realistically he should have started his career at 154 pounds because even at middleweight, he was an okay sized middleweight, but he wasn't a massive middleweight. So for Ingle, it was a case of he should have started at 154 if he had been disciplined and then gone up to 160. He could have won weight division, could have won a world title at 154. 168 was a bit of a bridge too far. And to go to 175, prime or not, that's asking too much. Certainly now, Billy Joe Saunders has been out of the ring for over 2 years now. The Canelo Alvarez fight was the start of May 2021. It's now July 2023. And we've heard very little from Billy Joe. You've heard the odd, especially when Eubank, was, still is knocking around. We don't know what's going on with Eubank now at the minute. But with Eubank, he still kind of mentions that. And I think that's kind of probably still a fight that Eubank probably really wants as well, Probably maybe even more so than the Liam, maybe even more so than the Conor Benn fight, because I know there is really a lot of needle there between him and Billy Joe Saunders. And even with the way Eubank looked in the Liam Smith fight, I'd still pick him over Billy Joe at this stage because Billy Joe Saunders has done probably very little, if any, training over the last 2 years. God knows how much he's weighing. And Saunders is a wasted talent. You could say he's got a 2-division world champion. Yeah, touche, that's actually quite an achievement. 2-division world champion, fair enough. But especially the one at 168, he was gifted that title against the Sufi, who lost to one of Anthony Yard's early opponents. And that kind of says it all. So he was kind of gifted that title in a way. Billy Joe Saunders is a talented fighter, very talented fighter, certainly in his prime. But did we ever really get to see him in his prime? Because he's always had issues with weight. He's always ballooned in between fights. And it's one thing for Tyson Fury to do it, who's a heavyweight, doesn't have to make weight. Billy Joe Saunders does. And it took away from a lot of his performances. A little bit of trivia. His last fight at 160 pounds was the David Lemieux fight, his career best performance. And a fight that he could have actually made something off the back of that. But no, he didn't fight for a year. That was his last fight at 160 as well. And just has been doing whatever, until he got the Canelo fight 2 years ago, and he's done nothing since then. He's literally done nothing, and God knows what kind of things he's been doing outside the ring. Oh, boy, I've heard some stories about Billy Joe, and that's when he's fighting, or certainly, is still a professional fighter, with a world level fighter, and not living the cleanest life. God knows what he's been doing the last 2 years with all that money and no plans to come back into the ring. So, you talk about having to come back. I wouldn't be at one stage. I would have said unlikely we'd see Billy Joe back, but to be honest with you, at this stage now, I'd say he probably would come back. But I expect to see an absolutely shot to pieces Billy Joe Saunders. Billy Joe Saunders, when he fought Martin Murray was just kind of, the sacrificial lamb to the slaughter. Martin Murray being a competitive fight at this stage, I reckon, with Billy Joe Saunders coming back now. Seriously, that's how bad I reckon he's going to be. I reckon that time out of the ring, 2 years out of the ring, ballooning up in between fights, well, ballooning for constantly over the last 2 years, having to lose all that weight, that's going to affect him. That's going to affect him. Wouldn't even shock me if Eddie Hearn looks at him as an opponent for Conor Benn, to be honest with you. Maybe even doing it at a catch weight of 164 or something, if you can get down to that. Because I wouldn't shock me if Eddie Hearn did do that. Conor, you got a 2 division world champion there, and he beat Eubank. There you go. Wouldn't even shock me. Wouldn't even shock me. With Billy Joe Saunders on the comeback trail, are you excited? Do you even care? Do you think that he could do something still? Is there still something left in Billy Joe Saunders that maybe I'm not seeing and other people aren't seeing? Let me know in the comments. I'd be also interested to know, how do you think he would fare at 175 pounds? Me, even a prime Billy Joe gets obliterated by most of the top guys at 175 pounds, if not all of them. Right now, I mean, Jesus Christ, people. Him against Beterbiev, him against the Bivol, I think those fights could get really ugly real quick. Even a Boatsy at Dan Aziz a yard. If you talk about domestic opponents, Callum Smith, one stage that fight would have been a very good competitive fight. Now it's like, nah. Not a hope. Not a hope. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Quick one here. Hope you enjoy the people. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. We've been putting in the work this week, and it's showing. Nearly 100 subs in a week. Boom. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. For now, lads and lassies, I'll talk to you. Peace.